I think the end goal is not just to win, 118. The end goal is to flip the House. And we want to see it flipped before the next redistricting because we know Republicans, we've already seen how low they're willing to go. So we have to do everything in our power to stop them from drawing these lines even worse the next time.
Hey everyone, it's Monique Alcala, longtime campaigner, big fan of democracy, and your host for My First Race, the show where we talk with the country's top politicos about their very first campaign. Hey everyone, this is Monique Alcala, your host for My First Race, and I'm super excited about the guests that we have for you today. I will tell you I think it was in 2022 is the year that we were doing, that we were desperately looking for a candidate in House District 118 here in Texas, and this really amazing person came up in conversation, and I ended up speaking to her when I was working with Emily's List, and her name is Kristian Carranza, and that is our guest with us today. And I will tell you, the first time that I talked to her, I was just so amazed by the reason why she wanted to run for office, which I'm sure she'll tell you about in just a little bit, but also just how friendly she was, how committed she was to just the cause. And I talked to as many people as I could to really trying to bully her into running for office, even though, it sounded like she was really in it for the right reason. So I want to welcome to the show Kristian Carranza, who is running in the most competitive state house seat in the entire state of Texas, which is House District 118, and that's based in Bexar County in San Antonio. So thanks for joining us today, Kristian.
Wow, that's an amazing intro. Thank you so much. I think it was like summer 2023 when you and I first got connected, and you're right. You didn't let me say no. I think in those early months was so hesitant to say yes to running for office. It's just such a big commitment. But you were just so amazing, and you've been such an amazing friend since then. And I'm really excited to be on the podcast.
Thank you. Yeah, that's right on the year, because you told me on my very last day at Emily's List that you were running for office, and it was like the best day of not just my time at Emily's List, but also just in my entire career, because you're, again, like just one of the most amazing, like just star candidates that we could have ever hoped to recruit here in the state. So
Thank you. Well, thank you for seeing that in me. I really appreciate it because I feel like, especially running the first time, you really have to earn your stripes. And I felt like with you and with so many people like Georges Jones and Wendy Davis, I didn't feel like I had to truly prove myself. I think people just believe in me, and you're
Mhm.
one of those people. So I'm always grateful.
Oh, thank you. Well, we have a great group of folks that I know believe in you and believe in the state, and I'm so glad that you're running again in a really critical year. I mean, we're seeing our all of our institutions like fall apart, and we've definitely got to win some stuff this year.
I'm ready.
Yeah, and I'm telling you right now, you put this in your notebooks today, which is February 2026. Kristian is going to be the future Speaker of the House of Representatives in
That,
Texas.
oh my
So
God.
I'm going to knock on wood just so I don't jinx it, but she's amazing and all the things. So
But we're gonna fast forward 10 years, right? Um,
not even 10 years. You're just going to do it.
well, I'm really excited to be on.
Yeah. So on this podcast, we like to start off the conversation about what brought you into politics, and yeah, tell us what brought you into this space.
It was so funny. So I'm like a middle range millennial. I was born in 1990, which meant in 2008 I got a vote for the very first time for President Obama. I voted on campus. I waited like, I don't know, it was literally like 7 hours. I like missed class and everything. But I voted, and I voted Democrat because my mom was like, of course we're Democrats. Like, we're too poor for you not to be a Democrat, right? So I didn't know who I was going to vote for down ballot, but I voted straight ticket. I don't think I was particularly very interested in politics until I saw Wendy Davis, then Senator Wendy Davis, do her epic filibuster in her
Hmm.
pink tennis shoes.
Black
Um,
Blondie.
I always say like Wendy was my Obama, right? Like she's
Hmm.
the person that really, really got me into doing to working in the space. I at the time I was feeling really directionless. I had left college to take care of my mother. I'm been my mother's caregiver since high school. I got my very first job when I was 16 working at Bill Miller's Barbecue. And if you're from San Antonio, that's like the most San Antonio thing ever to work at Bill Miller's. And I worked at Bill Miller's all the way through college. But my senior year of school, my mom got pretty sick. So I did what I think a lot of daughters would do. I came home to San Antonio to take care of her, and I've always been really proud of that decision.
Mhm.
Around that time, I was, waiting tables. I was hustling to make any money that we could, so I could help my mom with her medical bills and just paying for rent and stuff. So I at the time, I remember I was in my bedroom and I remember I was sitting on the floor and had my back to my bed and I was on my laptop and there was a tweet from President Obama. And I
Mm.
remember it said, "Something special is happening in Austin tonight. Hashtag Santa Wendy." So I clicked on the YouTube live stream and it was Wendy Davis. And I think at this point, she had been standing for maybe like 5 or 6 hours.
Oh,
I
wow.
think overall she stood for 13 hours.
Mhm.
And from what I've heard, I think all she had was like a boiled egg that
Oh
entire
my
day.
god.
And, I didn't know it at the time, but there were people all over Texas who were driving to the Austin Capitol to like cheer her on.
Mhm.
And they had been making signs for her. They were in the rotunda. They were out there. They were excited for her. So, I watched all the way through, and so the rules of the filibuster is, you get 3 strikes, right, and then you're out. If you can speak
Mhm.
successfully until midnight, then you kill the bill.
Oh, wow.
So, when I remember, like, they gave her a strike for something like going off topic, even though she was totally on topic, right? And
Mhm.
and and just to be clear, like, this was gonna be the bill that would then eventually, close down a lot of the reproductive health clinics in Texas.
Mhm.
So, I at the time I didn't have health insurance, so the Planned Parenthood there on the south side of San Antonio was the only kind of healthcare I was getting.
Mhm.
And so when Wendy, I think it was like 30 minutes till midnight, Wendy hits her third strike. And all the people in the rotunda started cheering and chanting too loud to let any of the state senators like come together to take a vote. And Wendy always calls that the people's filibuster.
Mm.
And I still get chills when I talk
Yeah,
about it.
same here. I have chills. I have
And
a little goose.
it's one of those things that I'd never seen anything like that ever happen before in Texas.
Mhm.
I mean, at least you literally stood up for women, and I think as a young woman at the time, I was like, I don't know what any of this is, but I know I have to be part of it.
Mhm.
So a few months later, the bill died at midnight and did eventually pass. And that didn't stop Wendy. A few months after that, she decided she was going to run for governor of Texas. And so I signed up to volunteer immediately. Where I grew up on the south side of San Antonio, it was like people don't come to our door to like knock on our door and tell us to go vote, right? So
Mhm.
I truly had no like concept of what campaigns were.
Mhm.
So I started as a volunteer. I was making phone calls. I was knocking doors, and snowballed into becoming an organizer on her campaign. I was doing voter registration. They sent me over to Corpus Christi. So if you've ever organized out in Oasis County,
Mhm.
it's tough, right?
Right.
But you know what? There's so much potential because there are so many people that have just never had that conversation at the door.
Mhm.
And I think that if I may say this, and zero shade to Beto's campaign because I think Beto ran a really strong race in 2018. But I think that we don't give Wendy her flowers for the type of organizing program that she
Mhm.
put out in 2014. It was
Mhm.
this true organizing style, Obama style type of field work that we have never done before in
Mhm.
Texas. It energized people like me and a lot of people that I worked with, a lot of organizers who still are doing this work.
Mhm.
And I still know so many of my volunteers down in Corpus. Anytime I'm over there, I'm always hanging out with them. But she just did something extraordinary. I I've always been so blessed. I always think about that time as like the most empowering experience of my whole life. And I'm like always so grateful that I got to work for Wendy. And I think it's truly what started me in this career and like wanting to continue to doing this. And one of my favorite like things to talk about is even though we didn't win that election, because we had so much focus on voter registration. We registered over 3,000 voters on the college campus there, and
Oh,
we
wow.
had more 18 to 24-year-olds vote in that election in Nueces County than any election before, than any presidential election
Oh,
before.
that's great. That's
So it's
incredible.
it's a big win, and I know that they're continuing to work off of that there in Nueces, and Wendy has just been such an amazing mentor of mine all throughout these years. She's one of the best strategic minds that we have here in Texas, and
Mhm.
I'm really grateful for her, and I'm just more grateful that I had the experience to work for her.
Yeah, one of the things that I did notice about here in Texas is that there are some people that when they're supporting you, they really go in on supporting you. And Wendy is one of those people. She makes phone calls, she
Mhm.
shows up to do rallies, she will, push the envelope on like making sure other people are supporting
Oh
you.
yeah.
So yeah, I love seeing that in other people, and it's really great to see like how that arc of you seeing her on YouTube or on the internet or on TV and going to work for her and then her supporting your campaign.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
incredible.
No, she's been great. Yeah, she's been great. When she's in, she's in.
Mhm.
And I mean, I don't think I would have gotten this far without her.
Yeah, yeah. Um, well, so that's what got you into politics, and but you've both run for office before, and you've also worked on campaigns before. Like, and was Wendy your first campaign?
That was my first time ever being an organizer, and I continued organizing work. God, how long ago was 2014? It feels like it shouldn't be. I think it was 12 years ago.
12 years ago.
And
Oh my god.
I remember one of the next jobs I had was I was an organizer for the ACA, and
Mm,
I was,
mhm,
in my community and in the south side of San Antonio, and I was helping people apply for health insurance,
mhm,
and all free, right? We
mhm.
had these tablets that had Wi-Fi on them, and we went door to door, and we helped people, sign up for affordable health insurance.
That's right. I
Yeah,
forgot about that. Oh my
yeah,
god.
yeah.
It really wasn't that long ago, but it kinda was that long ago. I don't
Mhm.
know. In 2014, I think, doing Terry's race. Was that right? Terry McAuliffe?
Oh wow,
Yeah,
Virginia
yeah.
girl.
Oof, that was quite the race. It's highly competitive against the worst man in the world, Ken Cuccinelli.
Oh god.
Yeah, yeah. But some things never change.
Yeah, there's always a bad guy to beat for
I
sure.
know. So many anti-immigrant people, so terrible. And even worse now. I mean, now they have like an entire Gestapo behind them, going door to door. Um, I was thinking about taking this gig in DC not too long ago, just for just for the cycle, and then I got like the um, I saw on Twitter that that the what is it called, city of Buda issued an alert that ICE had, staged over at their parking lot, and I just remember thinking to myself, "There's absolutely," because my parents live or my mom lives in Buda, and she's an immigrant. It's like, there's no way. I mean, just the things that we have to deal with every single day when we
Scary.
wake up. Yeah. So all that's to say, your race is really critical. I know that for sure. One seat at a time. Um, so with this podcast, we talk about your first race, and you have the wonderful experience of doing both. Why don't you tell us about your race in 24?
And I know we kind of touched on this at the beginning. I was so hesitant to do it.
Mhm,
And I have had this background in organizing, I had a good foundation, a good know-how. But, I was the person that, I would get on the chair and I would, talk to volunteers in a grassroots campaign office about other people, not about myself.
mhm.
And so the idea
I remember this. I remember you saying
it's, it's that thing where you don't realize how different it is to even like getting up in front of somebody, like how different it is to have to talk about yourself,
that. Mhm,
right? It's just this a vulnerability that I don't think I had really felt before.
mhm,
And I remember I would like go to look at people like Wendy Davis. I would go and I would just look at people and I would look at their speeches and I would say, okay, like what is it that they're talking about? And I mean, in all those speeches, everybody talked about, their personal story, what matters most to them, and like what brought them to this moment.
Mhm.
And for me, what brought me to the moment of running for office was our public schools here in Texas. I went to this school, McCollum High School, south side of San Antonio. Go Cowboys!
That's a big deal, isn't
Oh,
it?
it's a huge deal, you know? And it's funny 'cause it's the Cowboys and the Indians, and it's a big rivalry on the south side of San Antonio, and we love it. And, we had, 4 elementary schools close the end of the school year, in 2023, and that's what sparked me to run for office. And thank you for helping me get to a yes, and not letting me say no. I felt like if you really look back into public school funding here in Texas, you'll find that slowly every single year we've been funding our public schools less and less. And that's been happening over the last 30 years. And then what's happened over the last 30 years, Republicans have gained control
Mhm.
of the Senate, of the House, and of the governor's mansion. Um, I think that we need more advocates in the state capitol, people who actually care about public schools because we go to them. They truly just make up the identity of our communities. Because for for us in San Antonio, we have this thing called the burning question, and
Mm.
it's so funny. It's like the burning question is whenever you meet somebody from San Antonio, the first thing you ask them is, "What high school did you go to?"
Oh,
It
really?
because it's so funny.
Yeah.
I know it sounds silly, but it tells you literally everything you need to know about somebody.
Mhm.
And when I go and I knock on doors, like the first thing I say is like, "Hi, I'm Kristian Carranza. I went to McCollum High School,"
Oh,
and they stop
that's
me. They're like, "Oh yeah, I went to McCollum," or "My grandkids go to
oh,
McCollum,"
that's so
and it's
cute.
just one of those things. It's like that instant connection.
Mhm.
But my first campaign, I'm really proud of it. We raised over $2.5 million,
That's crazy.
and it's crazy because that's the most that any first-time state rep candidate has ever raised in Texas.
I was gonna
Yeah,
say,
we're over.
yeah, because the first cycle I did with Emily's List was in 22, and
Mhm,
I don't even think people raised more than, what, 250 or something, and, maybe one North Texas person raised, like 500 and that's a competitive race,
mhm.
but, yeah, so impressive.
Yeah, well, thank you. I'm really proud of it, and we were up on television. We had TV ads. But it was truly a grassroots campaign.
Mhm,
Most of those, 80% of those donors were small dollar donors.
mhm.
I'm really proud of the campaign that we ran because it was centered on the real issues and the real people.
Yeah, no, definitely. Definitely inspiring because I remember hearing about your campaign from other people that I was working with nationally, and they're like, "Oh, I love Christian. She's running such a great race." And but hearing that throughout the 24 cycle was just such a great feeling, especially like I talked to you even before you started running, and it's just like just seeing the whole thing and seeing it all, transpiring, you getting so close in such a really tough year.
It was so close, and I say that and I talk about it now because it was 3.5 points
Hmm.
in this district that is it's pretty 50-50. I think what happened was, there are certain people that come out for Trump, right? But
Yeah.
he's on the ballot this cycle,
Hmm.
and it's a completely different political environment.
Hmm.
I think most folks on the south side of San Antonio feel like things have just gotten worse,
Yeah.
and than what they were. I think that they're looking for change.
Mhm. Do you notice anything different, like, when you're out in the field from 24 compared to, now?
Frustration, yeah, totally frustration, right? I
Mhm.
mean, people are looking at their HEB bills, and I mean, they're looking at their HEB receipts, and they're like, everything's getting more expensive.
Mhm.
Things are worse than they were off a
Yeah.
year or two ago.
And for people that don't know, which God forbid y'all don't know what HEB is if you're listening,
It's the number one grocery store in the
in
whole
the whole
country,
country, it is amazing. If you ever come to Texas, you have to go to an HEB. It is quite the experience,
and
so
every HEB is a little different. They tailor to that neighborhood or that small town,
Yeah.
city.
Pretty incredible country. I was gonna say country.
Well,
Pretty incredible
it's
company.
it's one of it's like they're kind of they I've heard the term FEMA of Texas,
Mhm,
kind of
mhm.
thing. They show up for us, so we show up for them.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So I got us off track by saying nice things about each of you.
Well, we can go on all day about that.
I know. So what do you like? How are you feeling? I know that people ask you that all the time, but how are you feeling about this year?
I'm feeling really good. I mean, I'm always a little nervous,
Hmm.
right? I think that that's healthy, but I'm really excited. It feels like the stars have aligned,
Hmm.
in the sense that it's an open seat this time.
Hmm.
I
That's
ran
right.
against last cycle. I ran against an incumbent who had been there for a couple of years, and over last summer and here in Texas, we had all the Republicans redraw the congressional lines.
Hmm.
And so when they did that, they redrew Greg Casar's district. It used to go all the way down to San Antonio. It started in Austin to San Antonio. They've totally redone it.
Hmm.
And so now it overlaps with my district, House District 118, perfectly. Like if you looked at the map, it's literally House District 118
Hmm.
and then a couple of rural counties. And so, the current state rep, John Lujan, is now running for Congress.
Hmm.
And it's the only silver lining to all that BS. So
Hmm.
we have a real opportunity to take this seat. But it's going to take a lot of work.
Hmm.
And I think that's where the nervousness comes in because I want to make sure that folks are always feeling the urgency. We have to run. We have to run like we're losing, but I think we have to make sure that we're always remembering why we're doing this work, and it's for the people.
Hmm. Yeah. So you wake up in the morning. I know that you're very disciplined in doing probably the thing that everybody hates the most, and that's call time. Like, how do you get yourself in that mindset to like actually do the things that everybody hates on campaign?
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like for Democrats, we don't just wake up with money falling from the sky for us.
Hmm.
Most of us are down ballot people, right? We often see on the Republican side that that's honestly the case for them.
Yeah.
They don't really have to do that kind of work. But for me, the way I think of it is when I talk to donors, I think of it as like bougie field organizing, right? It's like field
Hmm.
organizing in the AC
Hmm.
on a couch. It's you talk to people who have given to Democrats before, and you make the case for your race,
Hmm.
and you let people understand you and understand like what drives you, and you tell them like what's going to happen if we win.
Hmm.
And for us in Texas, this is the seat that's likely to flip
Hmm.
in Texas. So if we can flip this seat, then we can continue flipping more and more seats.
Hmm.
I think the end goal is not just to win, 118. The end goal is to flip the House.
Yeah.
And we want to see it flipped before the next redistricting because we know Republicans, um, we've already seen how low they're willing to go. So we have to do everything in our power to stop them from drawing these lines even worse the next time.
This is the other thing that I talk about with people all the time, and, whenever I talk about things like, what do I want to see in a leader, I think about, like, the stuff that I feel like you stand for, which is, like, helping other people, and, like, you're in your own competitive seat. Now I was talking with another person that's running in a competitive race in San Antonio in 121, Zach,
Mhm.
and he was like, "Oh, Christian's amazing. She's, like, been such a great mentor and coach and whatever," and it's like, not everybody does that, and, I think that, we get more people elected that think about, like, how can we have more of a collective mindset, win more seats, that way, we can take over the legislature, we can fix these really gerrymandered
Yeah.
districts that there's a donut, district in Bell County, it's crazy, it's like, literally, it's like a circle, and then around it, there's another district. For the people that don't know, it's District 54 and 55. I mean, it's just completely gerrymandered, but, but we need to elect more people like Christian to the state house. You remind me of people because 'cause I've worked for, Terry McAuliffe, I worked for Don Beyer, and those 2 people specifically, I think about, And actually, Colin Allred was like this too. In 24, he was always asking, like, "How can I be helpful to other people in their races?" And I think that that's one thing that I think that really distinguishes you from, I think, pretty much everybody else that's running running in the state.
Well, it makes us stronger,
Yeah.
right? And that's what we have to do. We have to lift each other up. We have to get elected up and down the ballot, and across districts. That like
Mhm.
that's how we build power.
Yeah, and I always feel like, even with the congressional redistricting stuff, I found myself getting really frustrated with, like, some of the, congressional members who I won't name, but, 'cause they did some stuff, but probably not enough on electing more people in 24 or being helpful or at least trying to build the infrastructure, and so, I really hope that, people do understand like how important the state ledge is in all these redistricting conversations, and especially critical before our next census. When is it? 2030? Yeah,
Hmm.
2030. Shit.
Oh, it's coming up.
It's
Yeah.
really coming up.
Yeah, no, you're right. Like, in Texas,
Hmm.
it's our state legislature that determines those lines. So it's
Hmm.
important who we choose. And I think sometimes, it's so funny. It's like when you go and knock doors, people are like, what are you running for? I mean, like the average person, may not know, who you are, but they know that what you do affects them on a
Hmm.
day-to-day level. They just don't know exactly how. And
Yeah.
so that's why voter education is so important to me. It's why I raise so much money because I know that that's the number one thing you have to do on a campaign is you have to make sure that voters understand who you are, know what you stand for, and know what you're going to do for them.
Hmm.
And for me, I feel like that's what we did a great job doing that last cycle. I think we can do an even better job. I think what we could do a better job on specifically is making sure people understand me from like what am I going to do for them on affordability, right?
Hmm.
Like true working class issues. And I think that last cycle, maybe that wasn't how I best represented myself. We 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 do this thing in campaign world where we want to follow the polling, we want to be data focused, and all those things are great, but to the heart of it, like you really gotta just listen to the people at the doors, right?
Hmm.
Like let them guide you,
Yeah.
and I've really learned that, and that's why I knocked 10,000 doors last cycle. I'm gonna knock. My goal is 20,000 doors this year, and like just let the people guide me.
Yeah. Yeah. That's important. Speaking of letting people guide us, you are a huge fan of Selena.
Oh, who isn't?
I
You
think I
say
saw
it like it's like unique or
I
something.
know, but even still, but there was something recent about Selena. I forget what it was. There's all sorts of stuff on
She
the
had a
internet,
she
but
had a documentary come out
that's
recently,
right.
yeah.
Okay, that's what it was. And then what did her father?
So oh, and her father, Abraham, passed away.
That's
Hi,
right.
Abraham.
I know. Well, back to Selena. What do you have a favorite song?
Um, I think Amor Prohibido is one of those songs
Hmm.
where you just hear, like, the start of it, and it's just, it just, like, transports
Everybody
you.
goes wild.
Like,
Yeah.
and then you're, like, in her music video with her, like, white shirt, and it's, like, flowing in the wind. Um, uh, and then I think No Debes Jugar is
Hmm.
another just beautiful song by her.
Hmm.
She's just, one of those artists that, just stays with you, and
Hmm.
I love when I'm, like I probably spend a little bit too much time on TikTok, when you're trying to go to bed and turn your
Hmm.
brain off, and, and you'll see, people, they still share Selena,
Hmm.
with their children, and you'll watch, like, showing my nine-year-old daughter Selena for the first time, and this
Hmm.
is how she knows what true heartbreak is,
Yeah.
and watching them, like, see the scenes, like, the last scenes, and or you see, like, the little girls that are, like, dressed up as Selena for Halloween, or and I love this, Harlandale ISD, that's the school district I went to. We have a few choirs in the elementary schools, and I went to one of their, big community events this past month, and they had 2 of their choirs singing Selena songs, and there's just something about it that it's nostalgic, but it touches our culture in a way that I haven't seen anyone do like Selena, and, like Selena's more than a singer. I mean, she's just this, like, this forever part of our culture that I think we hold so closely because we know there's never gonna be anyone else like her.
Yeah. Do you think you'd be able to articulate to the people who are listening, especially those outside of Texas, like why Selena is such an important like icon for us here in Texas?
You know, what I love about Selena's story is that she is this true Mexican American girl and who grew up to be a woman. I think for a lot of us, especially young women who grew up listening to Selena, we didn't have a lot of role models that looked like her.
Yeah.
And when she started singing Spanish, she sang it phonetically.
Hmm.
She wasn't fluent in Spanish. She learned fluency, as an adult. And I think it's also really important to mentioned that she was only 23 years old when she passed away.
Hmm.
She lived a short life, and that I think that tells you how, like, impactful she was, but one of my favorite, pieces of this is that Selena literally pulled her family out of poverty,
Hmm.
and for a lot of us who, you grew up Mexican American, you grew up as a girl, you're not always, asked to be, center stage in your
Yeah.
families, right? But she was, and she rose to the occasion. And I think that she also did it with so much humility
Hmm.
and so much love and kindness in a way that everyone knew her for her red lipstick and her big smile.
Yeah.
She was just had that friendliness to her.
Yeah.
I think that we miss her, we
Hmm.
love her, that's why we play her music, and that's why we always talk about her, and it's when I worked in Corpus Christi, I lived there, I went to college there, I lived there for 4 years, and it's so funny because everybody has a Selena story, like, everybody,
Hmm.
everybody has, like,
Hmm.
when they saw her, sing somewhere, when they, like, they served her at Whataburger, like, everybody has, like, a Selena, and it when I and you really still feel Selena there,
Hmm.
I mean, you see her statue's there, and it's
Yeah.
where she's buried, it's where her family still lives. There's that restaurant, High Ho's, that her family still goes to. Like, you truly still feel her there, and, and growing up in San Antonio, I remember when she passed away, it was, 1995. I was only 5 years old. I remember, there's a movie theater right by my house, it's called the Mayan Palace now, but it used to be called Century South. It used to be this purple building, and this is before the days of social media.
Hmm.
The day that Selena passed away, my aunts and uncles, they tell me about this. They say that, like, there was no way to get this information out to people, but everybody just knew to go there.
Hmm.
And there was a makeshift memorial for her there because, like, the movie theater right there, it, like, we don't there's not a especially around that time, there wasn't a lot going on, so it was kind of like that one place where people go.
Hmm.
And so everyone just started, like, coming and gathering around this movie theater, on the back of it, and there's just, like, all these flowers, and we still have the pictures, and I was there, right, and it's just one of those, like, beautiful things where, even though it was a really tragic day, it brought our community together, and I don't know very many people that can do that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. They're definitely one of a kind, once in a generation for sure.
I know, and her music just makes us happy.
I know.
Makes us wanna
I have
dance.
like this little, I don't know, I guess call it like a treasure chest because it has like a little lock on it or something. So I have
Mhm.
like that. I think it's like the People magazine that had her on the
Oh,
front,
yeah.
and then like all some of her CDs. So
I go to
I
the
don't touch them.
one of my favorite things about knocking doors is that there's always, like, yard sales,
Oh
and
yeah.
I always keep cash on me, just in case, and, like, I know, like, the other day, I was, knocking, and there was, like, this lady who was, like, selling, like, those People magazines for, like, $40, right?
Oh yeah.
Because they were the Selena ones, I was like, "Oh, like, what? I think it's a good price."
Yeah. Maybe we'll do like a Selena theme fundraiser for you.
Oh, I would love that.
I mean the conventions, state conventions in Corpus.
Oh, it is? Oh,
Yeah.
okay, there we go. Now we have to do it.
I know, I know. Well, I think we're just about out of time, but thank you so much for joining us. And if people want to find you on the internet and donate to your campaign, how do they find you?
please go to my website. My name is Christian with the K. I think it always kind of throws people off sometimes. So it's just christianfortexas.com. All spelled out, Christian for Texas.
Okay, great. And you'll be able to see it all in the description when this is posted. And yeah, follow us and like the page, give us 5 stars, and also for sure donate donate $10,000 or whatever to Christian because she literally is the number one competitive flippable seat in the entire state. So really important that we get her elected to office. So thank you so much for joining us today, Christian. It was wonderful to see you and to have you on.
Thank you, Monique. And I wouldn't have been here without you.
Aw, that's so
You're the
nice.
best.